Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself and your companies.
Ooh, what a good question. Maya, you want to go
Yeah.
first?
Oh, Aja, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So a little bit about myself and my company. So I am originally from Lexington, Kentucky, which you all know. And I moved to Nashville about 3 years ago. My background is largely in the hospitality industry. I did lots of business. And my most favorite position was working at Girl Scouts. I love Girl Scouts. And so when I moved here, I started a company called Notably Gray. And so what we do is we focus specifically on paid social advertising. And then we are by heart, we are copywriters. So that I like to say that is writing that warms your soul and it can makes people buy, right? So that's what we do at heart.
Yeah, so I will go ahead and hightail after you, Aja. So if you all don't know, on the call today, Aja and I are sisters, and it's I'm so excited to be here today. But I am originally from Kentucky, and now I live in Washington D.C. So Kentucky is my home; it's my heart. So being on this call today, I feel like I'm back home. And while in Kentucky, I started a business called More Than Your Average because I believe in the power of women. I believe in the power of individuality, the power of finding yourself through the world of fashion, and particularly vintage fashion. So, More Than Your Average really celebrates vintage fashion, specifically for plus size women. And so I have just been, it has truly been a blessing for me to work with women all over the country in the world of vintage fashion and really just celebrating everyone. So, um, really excited to be here today and to talk a little bit more about my business and what I do.
And Daisy, I am going to chime in because I do want everyone to know. So tell us a little bit about your business that you are starting.
Okay, so our business, I started it with my little sister. We started a business called Peach Palmetto, and we're getting it up and running now. It is a postcard business because we noticed that a lot of schools haven't actually taught kids how to address or how to write a postcard. So we decided to create fun little postcards that you can send to your campers off at camp, or they can send to you because, hey, it's fun to get something in the mail, isn't
I 100% agree. I love getting mail. I do a little mail dance every time I go and get it. Yes.
it?
That's so awesome. That is so awesome. So, how did you come up with the name? I have to ask this. I love the name so much.
Okay, well, Peach Palmettos is because one, we think of ourselves as beach girls. We love the beach, and we are a little bit away from the Myrtle Beach. So
Yeah.
yes. And then peaches because my little sister loves peaches and she loves to farm and garden and anything outdoors. So she's always wanted a peach stand where she could just sell peaches and vegetables.
That's so
So she
cool.
got herself her name Peaches. So
Peaches. Okay, Dixie, you didn't tell me that before we started.
I love it. Love
I do
it.
too. I do too.
so how did you get the idea of for your company? How did the idea for your company come about?
Okay, so for Notably Gray, do you know who Beyonce is?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So Beyonce has a song called "I Was Here," and so the whole story behind the song is just making sure that you leave the world better than you found it. So making sure that you leave a footprint, whether that be in everyday interactions, just everything that you do, really. And so I'm like, I really like this song. And so I'm like, what words mean leaving a notable footprint? Notable. What does notable mean? Like, this is my whole thought process. What does notable mean? How can I, what does that look like? So I like the word notably. And then I was like, well, this is fun, but what about like how's it going to explain how we work in our process? And I'm like, everything that we do, we like to do it outside of the box. And so there is a term that people use like working in the gray. So I'm like, notably gray, notably gray, gray, notably gray. And I liked it. And so that's kind of where we went from there. I know that when I was coming up with the name, I texted Maya, I'm like, tell me what you think about this. And I called him like, what do you think? Does it just have into it? And so that's where the origin of Notably Gray comes from.
Yeah, and I would say like for more than your average, and I went back and forth with Aja as well, but my name is Maya, and so my name is wrapped up in my business. And how I really came to more than your average was I thought about like, who do I want to represent, or who, like, what statement do I want to make to the world, and how do I want to move forward with my life? And so more than your average really reflects who I am and how I want to showcase myself to the world, by also celebrating women and really celebrating the power that we are more than your average. No matter what we choose to do, no matter how we choose to dress, we are more than your average. So really celebrating all of us, no matter our backgrounds, no matter where we come from. And so it's just been really, really great. And I even have some people, I'll just sometimes say, oh my gosh, your name's wrote up in your business name. And I'm like, yes, it is. And so it's just really, it's really great to think about where I started from in creating the name. Because Aja, I don't know if you remember this, but I was on the couch and I had, Dixie and Daisy, my notebook open, scribbling, trying to come up with this name that really, really made sense. And when I got to more than your average, I was like, that is what we're going to. That is the gold star name.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
All righty. So as far as, and I guess I'll toss this one over to you, Aja, first.
Okay.
So what is your favorite aspect about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, that's so good and loaded. There's so many things. Probably my favorite aspect about being an entrepreneur is it honestly is limitless. You know, you wake up and you have a passion and you have a dream, and you go for it. And I think that is so very important. So very important. And there's no, it's endless. Like you can keep dreaming, putting out idea after idea after idea. So probably my favorite aspect of entrepreneurship and what I value in other entrepreneurs is ideation and creativity. My two most favorite things. But that's a really good question. I love that. What about you, Daisy? There you go.
Okay, so sorry, you froze up on me. Could you repeat that?
Yes. So my favorite aspect about being an entrepreneur is probably ideation. So just the ability to just dream and continue to put out ideas, and it's really limitless. So that's my favorite thing about being an entrepreneur. What about yours?
Well, my favorite thing about being an entrepreneur is probably the happiness you get from feeling that you accomplished something. And starting a business to me feels like you accomplished something because you got off and you did something and you're happy about it. Right. And I really like that feeling. So I think that's one of my favorite aspects about being an entrepreneur.
I love that. Dixie, what about you?
Money.
That's a good one. Yes, that's also another benefit of entrepreneurship. Maya, what is your favorite aspect?
Oh my gosh, I love that response so much. Like I am just, I wanted to type into the chat box. Oh my gosh, I totally agree with you on that. But I think for me is the big piece is about community. Like I love connecting with people all over the world and building that sense of community. And then also what makes me happy is like, for me, you know, my business is just not about like making that transaction. but it's about like what happens before the transaction or what happens afterwards. And it's whether that's from, people sending me photos of them wearing my product, or people providing amazing feedback saying, oh my gosh, I love this dress, or oh my gosh, I love that blazer. And so for me to see photos and to see those quotes, it just warms my heart and makes me happy. So for me, it is about community, and also tagging that money is definitely important in it all, because I know that we work so hard in our businesses, and we should all be able to celebrate ourselves at the end of the day. So I 100%, 110% agree with that.
Yes, and with that, with the money comes being able to empower others, right? Giving other opportunities to, if you're bringing on a team, that's the way that you can empower other women. So I love that. I love all of that. All right, so,
Okay.
go ahead.
Okay, so what are some ways you implement self-care in your business and in daily life, I guess?
That's a good question. I would say for me, self-care, it is really just, I don't know about like you all or you, Aja, and I know, but I'm a big coffee drinker. And so being able to kind of step back and walk down the street to the bakery and grab me a cup of coffee and some delicious donuts, and being able to really take that step back and enjoy the time outside of packaging packages to go out or doing inventory. And then also during this time, there have been a lot of great movies that I've watched on Netflix and some other kind of platforms. So I think that self-care is definitely important. And what I always say is when people reach out and they want to start a business, or they're in the process of growing a business, finding that balance is so important, because even when I take a walk down to my local bakery, I get so many fresh ideas that I didn't have before. So being able to find that balance and step back, even if it's just something simple, like grabbing a cup of coffee, is something that I always try to do. How about you, Aja?
So I think I picked this up from Girl Scouts. Girls, I love kayaking. What about you all? Yes.
I love kayaking. I
love
do it
it.
at my summer camp.
Yes.
That is
I
about
love
it, because my mom is scared of a kayak. She thinks that if I get in one in her supervision, it will tip over. I
You
don't
know
think
what?
so.
There's always a chance, right? A small chance, but that's one of the many things that I like doing every morning. Every morning I like to journal, and that's just getting out the morning's thoughts. I love reading. I love reading so much, and walking. I try to walk every single day. But as far as self-care, probably top of my list are reading and writing. I love hanging out with my friends. I love experiences. So when things do open back up, I love doing mini concerts or festivals, the flea market, the farmers market. Those are all some of my most favorite things. And but probably kayaking, hands down. I love it so much. What about you, Dixie? What do you like to do?
I like to play with my chickens on the farm.
I love this.
I love it. Oh, I want to come and visit.
Let me ask you, do you have names for all your chickens?
Yes. Our fox killed some, so now we only have 2, a rooster and a hen.
Yeah.
And the hen her name's Princess.
Ooh,
and she walks on a pink leash. And the other one's called Chuck, named after my dad.
Okay.
And he walks on a pink leash.
The reason I named it after my dad is because he's very protective.
Princess and Chuck.
Yes.
Our chickens like to follow my dad around.
Okay.
Yes, they will follow him around wherever he goes. Some things I like to do are, well, one, I like to mow. I mean, I know that sounds weird to people, but if you put me on a lawnmower, no, it has to be a sit-down lawnmower, because I'm not going to stand up and push a mower all day. No, too much physical work for me.
Okay, so Mom, what are our thoughts about this? I feel like this is like a dream, right?
Yeah, it is.
I love that. You love to mow. You
I
actually enjoy
do.
mowing. Okay.
She
okay.
actually has an outfit.
Oh
I do
wow.
have an outfit. I wear a Ford trucker hat because I hate ticks and we have a lot of wooded areas, and so
Okay.
it's you can just take it off and shake it
Keep
off.
going.
All of them
Look.
will be gone. And
There
then
you
you
go.
have your snake-proof boots because no, just no. And then I have my string bikini because I love a tan.
Oh,
I always love
okay. Okay. Love it. Love all of that. I'm getting an image. I love all of that. Okay.
Okay, so Dixie, you wanna?
Where can we find you on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m.?
Oh, Aja, I'm gonna let you kick that question off.
Okay, Dixie, at 10 a.m. in a very much perfect and open world, you can find me starting my day with a cup of coffee, and then I head on a walk. And then I like to go to the farmer's market because I like to see what new things have arrived. I like eating some of the fruit that's in season whenever I do go. I like to sometimes get a succulent. And then 9 times out of 10, I'll stop by in the local market and grab something different as far as food wise, something international. And then I would head back home or maybe go kayaking. I don't know. That is a perfect, ideal Saturday for me. I wouldn't do all of that at 10 a.m. though. There would be a process.
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, you sticking in all that at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Not all of
I
it,
am
but I
going
do
to
like
purposely call you at that time and check.
But at 10 a.m., more than likely you can find me at the farmer's market. What about you, Maya?
Oh my gosh. Well, you can probably find me on my second cup of coffee at 10 a.m. in the morning. And I always kick things off with a to-do list each day, just to say like, hey, this is what I want to accomplish. But especially over the weekend, again, like self-care, really practicing that balance. You can find me getting ready to go out safely somewhere. So whether that's from, visiting some of the monuments here in DC. So girls, if you ever come to DC, let me know. Or just, walking to the local farmer's market, like Aja said, not of course with Aja, but walking to the farmer's market. And like I said, bakery, calling a friend. I think connecting with friends, especially during this times, are so important. So keeping in contact, having a coffee catch up. So I would say like a mixed salad of things going on with me at 10 a.m. So I have a feeling Aja's going to call me at 10 a.m. and check in on that. What about you, ladies? What about you, Dixie?
Well, I'd like to say when we're in DC, our family actually has a little apartment in DC, so we really like to go down there. And me and Dixie, I think it's on our other uniforms because we just recently bridged. But on our other uniforms, we have all of the DC monument patches because
Love
That's
it.
so
we
cool.
love to do those.
Yes. Come in. Well, like I said, when you're in DC, come and visit, and we'll love to show you all around.
Yes. What we like to do in 10 a.m. in the morning, sleep, lots of sleep. That's fine. I love to sleep late. It's either that or I practice my dance team's competition dance.
Okay.
Or, yeah.
Asia, that sounds so fun to go to the supermarket.
Yes, right? Do you like trying new foods? Yes. What's your most
Especially
top favorite
peaches.
food? Peaches. I should have known that. I should have known that. You did tell me
Love
that.
peaches.
Well, what outside of peaches, what else do you like?
I like Bigfoot hunting.
Bigfoot hunting. Ooh, is that scary sometimes?
Well, I get a big ski pole and I knock on trees and I scream.
I
love it.
definitely need to come and visit them.
I haven't
You know what?
found one yet,
You haven't found one yet? Well, how about this?
but I'm going to.
You're going to? So I like that idea, and I'm gonna try it here in Nashville, Tennessee. And if I find one, I'm gonna ring you up, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Same for me.
Well, Dixie's out there. I'm mowing.
You're mowing. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You are
I
mowing.
don't think she's ever seen one because the mower's just so loud.
Maybe that's what's scaring them off. You think?
Maybe.
Maybe you
Okay.
should start weed eating.
Well, okay. So, what does leadership mean to you, and what is your leadership style?
That's a
So
good
I'll
one.
kick us off with that while Aja noodles on the question. But I would say for me, like leadership, my type of leadership style is, of course, like I always believe in bringing your 100% self to everything that you do. What I think it is so empowering is that like when I meet people and they come from, you know, different backgrounds, they have their own assets and personalities that they bring to the table. So for me, leadership is all about like being you, like being true to you, like showing up how you want to show up and not based on like what others think about you, what society's trying to say, going with the trends. It's all about being you. And so I would say like, you know, as far as my style is I definitely love having some of those connections with, you know, people who are just being authentic and just being themselves and not having to kind of put on another face or another mask, just really showing up and being you. So I want to stop. I'm going to turn it over to you, Audrey, because I'm going to keep going here.
I love this question. So thank you so much for asking. Probably my leadership style. I'm a listener first. I love to listen. I think it's so very important to listen first. And then the next keyword that I'll say is empowering, right? So it's very important to me to listen and then empower my friends or my family, people who I interact with on a daily basis, empowering them with the things that they need to be successful. So that is probably my form of leadership style. I'm a listener first, and I like to teach and empower people with what they need to succeed.
I'll go ahead and hop back in here. And one thing I will say is what I love about Aja, you know, like taking the sister component out of this, but like that she is a great listener. And, you know, as business owners and even outside of business owners, it's always just great to have a leader or have someone who is just going to open up, listen to what you have to say, and be able to provide some great feedback. So even as I've built my business and throughout the course of my life, like I always call Aja, and I know that she will listen to any and everything that I say or give me some great kind of feedback. So I appreciate Aja's leadership style.
Oh, hearts.
Yeah,
Big fuzzies. I love it.
How about you ladies?
Yes.
Well, Dixie, you want to?
They call you the little dictator.
Yeah.
My family calls me the little dictator.
For a reason.
That's what kind of leader you are.
Asia, do you like to win prizes and stuff, like medals?
Ooh, I do. They're always nice, right? I don't ever lead with that, but I do. I can't, there's been a lot of, this is what I'll say, Dixie. This is what I'll say. My form of medals and prizes now, it very much looks like the success of other people that we're able to help for our business. So that and you know, those things will always come. It's not what we lead with, but those things will always come. But I do like to win prizes and medals, and I would love to hear about what kind of prizes and medals you're getting. I hope that there's some for rodeo. I know that you said you're interested in rodeo. Is that right? Yes.
Well, she does
Maybe
like
those
too. But
okay.
So, is there a particular leader you look up to, and why?
That's a really good question. So this is how I'll answer that, Daisy. There's not any one person in particular. I truly believe in community, and it really takes a village, an incredible group of women to help each other out. And so I can tell you some qualities that I really like and value about people who have really touched my heart. Accountability is one. So someone who is going to hold me accountable and help me reach my goals. That empowering piece is very important. Listening, clear communication. These are all things that I have found as far as leadership and people who I value, who I look up to. These are all qualities that they have. So that's the best way I can answer that. There's no one person in particular. My mom has all those qualities. So I definitely look up to my mom. I look up to my sister. It is all so much fun, as I'm sure you can attest to, having a sister that you can talk to about business who is in that same mindset. So I definitely love talking to Maya about some of these things, but I don't have any one particular person. I seek qualities. So that's what I'll say.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that. Like, and then kindness, someone who gives back to community, someone who empowers others through what they say, and then also their actions to complement what they're saying. I love leaders who are persistent. I love leaders who are consistent as well. And I really love leaders that have compassion for others. So I believe that, like, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what you're doing, it's so important to show up in that way all the time. So for me, it's to Aja, I definitely agree. Like, there's no particular person. Now I can start naming a list of people.
Exactly.
I can start naming a short list of people, but I also believe that whoever inspires you in life, or who, really influenced you, like, I always strive to, like, make sure that I'm, showing up in that way. Like, the person I look up to, I want to aspire to show up in that way, because you never know who's looking up to you at the end of the day. So you're like, I'm so excited about you all's businesses because I feel like you are already inspiring and influencing so many
young girls,
young people, young girls. And you may not even know that right now, but trust and believe me that there are so many girls who are looking up to you, and you all have inspired me to, I was like, oh my gosh, like I've been your same age, and I wish that I would have, started my business earlier. But anywho, that's just, the piece that I would add.
Yes. What about you all? Is there any one particular person that you look up to as far as leadership?
Well, my mom.
I love that.
My dad.
My mom really is a go-getter, and she knows what she wants, and so she'll find a way to go and make it happen for something or someone. And I really like how she'll decide what she wants. and then she'll find a way to do it. So I think that's, yeah.
Okay, Dixie, you're awake over there? I love that. I love that. Okay, so I'll let you ask that question, Daisy.
Okay, so what tips and tricks have you discovered to keep you focused and productive in your day-to-day busy schedule?
Ooh, Aja, I know you have some tips and tricks.
So many.
Yes.
So many. So probably the top thing that I do is called the Pomodoro technique. Have you ever heard of it? Ish, maybe? No? Nobody? Okay. So if you have heard of the Pomodoro technique, I would love for you to put in the chat if you know what that is. But essentially, the whole concept is working 30 minutes, taking a 5-minute break. And within that 30 minutes, you are really focused in and honed in on the most important task of your day. And so sometimes the most important task of your day is not always the task that you want to complete, but it's the most important. So I get that done. We do 30-minute intervals, there's 5-minute breaks. But within that 30 minutes, I am completely 100% focused on that task. And I do not, my phone's off, my email shut down, my texts are shut down. And so that's how I really focus on that. The 5-minute breaks allow me to kind of take a brain break, right, is what I like to call them. And then we get back to it until the task is finished. And sometimes a part of this, you guys, is giving yourself grace and knowing that not everything can be completed in a day. And that is 100% okay. That is something that I am continuously learning. So what about you, Maya?
Yeah, I'm taking notes over here. I need to implement that in my life. But I love writing things down in a planner. So for me, what really helps to get the stress off my plate is writing things down. And again, making that to-do list, like I just said, definitely giving yourself grace. If the to-do list has 10, yes,
like that.
Look, we are twins right now.
Okay, so I will be honest. Everything that I do is on my phone. I am very technology driven. I'm very technology driven.
Yes, Dixie. Yes, Dixie. So yes. So as you can see here, I have my planner, write everything down. And I take it day by day. I don't really try to stress myself out by doing month by month or even 2 weeks at a time, but day by day. And Dixie, I saw that you use highlighters, and I do too. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly what Dixie is showing you all. Write it down because it gets done. And I promise that if you just write it down, whatever it is, if it's a Post-it note, it feels so good to put a check mark by it and say, I completed this for today. I completed it for the week. So yes, Dixie, high five to you.
We are a very visual family. My mom likes visual anything.
Yes.
Dixie does too, and I do too. But if you looked at my computer or my Chromebook, there are 1,000 little sticky notes that say, okay, hey, you need to do this, and then you need to do that, and then over here, and then over there. So I went and I organized it in my agenda because my school didn't give me one this year. I was very upset.
There's a sticky note on my mom's computer right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What do you say are the top 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur?
Yeah, and I can go ahead and get us kicked off with that. But my top 3 pieces of advice is you have to you are the captain of your ship when it comes to your business. And you are the person who started it. You're the person who put the idea together. You're the person who created the logo, the name of the business. So you are the captain of that. And, when people come to me, they're like, oh, what have been some best practices? But the biggest piece is being consistent. So, for me, you just can't put the business out there and expect it to run itself, because it's not. You in your business, you're going to wear so many different hats, whether from the social media person all the way to the person who ships out packages, whatever that your business platform looks like. So you definitely have to be consistent. And when I say consistent, that means you are putting the word out there, this is my business. This is what I can help you do. You are continuing to advocate for your business, for your brand, for your platform. So for instance, I'll use social media, continuing to show up on social media. Continuing to spread your business word of mouth. There's just so many different measures you can take as far as getting your business name out there, but you have to be consistent in whether that's an every day, every other day. But you are passionate about your business. You are your number one cheerleader. So being consistent, being persistent, not giving up. So if you are reaching out to someone and you're like, oh, I would love to collaborate with you, or, oh, I would love to do this event with you, and they say, no, basically no. That doesn't mean that no one else won't, say yes. So you have to continue to be persistent in, whether that's a collaboration or getting the word out. And then my final piece that I always like, and sometimes I want to cry even when I say this, and Aja thinks I can be a little emotional sometimes. But my final piece, I would say, is be creative. Think outside of the box. Think about things that have not been done. Like, for instance, I own a vintage business, I love fashion, and I know that there are hundreds and thousands of people who do the same thing in the world. But we all bring our personal assets. We all bring something to the table that other business owner who may do the same thing as us does not bring. And so do not hold back on that. Like, be creative, bring your ideas to the table, implement them, because you never know what will happen. You never know if that business that does the same thing as you is going to reach out and say, hey, Maya, like, I see that you did this, would love to collaborate. There are so many opportunities. So, just to sum it up, be consistent, persistent, and then also creative is my top three pieces of advice I would say for today. How about you, ladies? Dixie, how about you?
Oh, well, one of my pieces of advice would be, one, try your best, because that's always really nice. I mean, if you try your best, then you did what you could do. And then, also doing more than what you can do is also good too, but second,
keep your commitments.
I would say probably to keep your commitments, because I mean, who's gonna trust you if you don't? Yes. And then 3,
Keep your head in the game.
Keep your head in the game.
Ooh, I love that one. That's a good one. That's a real good one. So I definitely will say probably everything that I learned about entrepreneurship, and you girls will recognize these 3 words: courage, confidence, and character. So starting with courage, I think that when you start a business, you have to wake up and be your own champion every single day. And having the courage to be vulnerable about what your passion is and putting it out there is so needed. The confidence, speaking to the piece that Maya had touched on, some people will say no, and that is okay. That doesn't mean that it's no forever. It doesn't mean that it's going to never not work out. It just means that, hey, maybe that this person is just not your person, or maybe it's just not a good time right now in this moment. So really having that confidence to keep going. And then speaking to what you said, Dixie, the character piece. I think probably the greatest piece of advice that I've heard from a very long time from two people who are on this call. So hello, Kate, and hello, Angela and Ashley, and Carly. I had to put all those things out there. But one of the things that they said was doing what you say you're going to do. That is at the heart of every entrepreneur. And so one thing that I love about that is it's so true. And then there's a caveat to this. So recognizing, this speaks back to the confidence and the courage piece, that sometimes when you set out to do something, situations change, scopes around projects change, and it's 100% okay to say, like, hey, this is not serving me or my purpose anymore. So really having that confidence to encourage to recognize that and being able to say something. But yes, everything that I feel like I learned about entrepreneurship are encompassed in those 3 powerful words, which are courage, confidence, and character.
And I just want to add one more piece here that I also thought about, but I think, my experience, I started my business in Kentucky and I moved to DC, and I've been here for about 3 years almost. And one thing that I always keep at the center of my heart is, no matter what you do, no matter if you start your business, you have a career, is never forget where you come from. And never forget the foundations of the why you started your business. And so for me, and I have a journal, a separate journal, but I always reflect on like, why did I start my business? What are those foundational pieces? Where did I come from? Like, heck, like I'm living in DC and there's a ton of people from Kentucky, but not in my same industry. And so that is something that I am leveraging is my roots. And that's just one final note that I wanted to touch on is just to never forget where you came from and the why behind you started, the why as to why you started your business.
So true.
And I love stories, and they're so very important. Sorry. Okay. I'll turn it back over to you, Daisy.
So a little bit about that. Yes, I do find that sometimes it is hard for commitments and stuff and saying that it's just not working out for me. I made these little easy bake oven kits where like you could like make single cakes or stuff in your easy bake oven just for the recipes. And it didn't work out. So then I did a YouTube channel with a fellow Girl Scout and we moved. She went to Virginia and I moved down to South Carolina and we didn't live in Kentucky anymore. So it didn't work out. So we had to, but yeah.
So I want to ask you, how did it feel when you had to have that conversation? Was it hard?
I really hated to lose that stuff because we had really worked hard on it. I mean, we had just done so much and it didn't work out. So I really hated to see it go, but I also was a little bit relieved that the struggle was kind of over and that we were no longer worried about was it actually going to take off or worrying about making the product anymore.
Yes, and this is like a lesson was learned from there.
Dixie, you want to?
How do you balance your career,
Personal
life, and passions?
That is a really great question. Yeah, and I'll get us kind of kicked off here, but you know, a lot of times, so I also have a full-time job and I work for Feeding America. So we are a hunger relief nonprofit and we work with food banks all over the country. So my passion is really about giving back to the community and really helping those who don't have access to food and meals each day. And so on top of my career, I also have my business and that takes a lot of time and it's almost like a full-time job in itself. And then I told Aja, I was like, oh, I'm also applying to get my PhD. So, you know, that's just like another layer on top of it all as well. But I think the balance really comes in, and I think you hit on it earlier, ladies, is that really like knowing that passion and really believing in yourself that you can do it. Like no matter what is added to your plate, how many things you have spinning at the same time. It's just, if you are passionate about your business, your career, your school, whatever that is, then it's going to get done. You're going to do it. You're going to come out on the other end. And you're going to complete it. And then you're going to look up and you're like, oh my gosh, I started my business. I'm year 4 into it. So it's just believing in yourself that like, hey, like I love all of these things and I may not have one passion. I may have 4 passions, but I'm going to do it all. Yes, Dixie, thanks for the thumbs up. And I am going to move forward with them all. And I am going to come out on the other end, a better person, a more knowledgeable person. And I'm going to be able to share that with the world. So that's how I balance everything. How about you, Aja?
Oh, goodness. Again, thank you, ladies, for asking this question. This is such a great question. And I'll be right honest, Daisy, if you would have asked me this maybe even 3 or 4 months ago, I would have had a different response. But today I'm going with my gut feeling. And so today I will say that I think when I first started and became an entrepreneur, it was very easy to compartmentalize, okay, this is business, this is my personal life. I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm I'm a friend. And it was exhausting. And so the best way I can answer that is I am Aja Price. I am an entrepreneur. I am a friend, a sister, a daughter. And so with that, it's one of those things where I'm more focused on wellness. So the emotional piece, the physical piece, and the mental piece. These are all very, very important things to me. And so making sure that that's in balance. But with every interaction that I have, whether it be with my friends or my family, I think entrepreneurship, when you choose to pursue the path, it is such a large part of you. And I think that you should feel and be able to share that with everyone across the board, especially the people who support you and champion and rally for you. Because it's not just, hey, I'm an entrepreneur by day, but I'm a friend by night. No, I'm always an entrepreneur. I can't turn it off and I can't turn it on. It is a large part of who I am. And so stepping into this whole owning it and sharing that across everyone who I interact with. So my balance is the mental, the emotional, and the physical aspect of my body. So that's the best way that I can answer it. I probably would have answered that differently about 4 months ago. But I've come to realize that being an entrepreneur is such a large part of who I am, and I own it and I love it. And I want everyone to know it. What about you, Daisy?
Well, I do find that in able to balance like everything, procrastinating is always good, but it's a little bit hard sometimes, especially when you have very long days. Like Zoom calls, because I'm in virtual school and Zoom calls take up all day for me. And it's really hard for me to work on something if I'm just petered out from doing school. But I seem, when I get up earlier, like today I got up at like around 5 just to get everything situated and to go do what I need to do. And I found that it helped me out a little bit just to get everything under control, because everything can be overwhelming all the time. So even though I think that procrastinating is always good at 11 o'clock at night, I try to limit that to maybe a couple days a week.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me, so what are some things that you're doing to not procrastinate?
I think blocking out my time, like say I'm going to devote an hour to finishing up all of the social studies class work for this week. And then maybe tomorrow I'll go and I'll devote and I'll say, hey, I have this really big test in science, so let me get all of the science work done so I can study longer for the test.
I love that time blocking. Yes,
yes,
I think you had a comment in
that.
there. Time blocking is so very important.
Now, I'm not the best at it because sometimes I'll get into La La Land and I'll see this article about these poor dogs found in a sewer, and it'll take me an hour to read that.
Listen, my thing are TikToks. I love TikToks, and sometimes I will go down this 45-minute rabbit hole of TikToks, and I look up and I'm like, oh wow, this is not part of my day, but it's okay. Giving ourselves grace, right?
I totally agree, Aja. Before bed, I wake up like, oh my gosh, I just spent an hour and a half on TikTok.
So Dixie Lee and I have always been interested in entrepreneurship. We have had a couple small kid businesses over the years. Now we're dreaming bigger, or relatively bigger. We are in the process of launching our own e-business. We are working on our own business plan now and starting to apply for a business license. Of course, being kids, we don't have a lot of money to invest in our business. So we have been careful about keeping costs down. Our biggest challenge has been keeping business costs down. For example, banks want a whole lot of cash and high fees for business accounts. Yes. I mean, really, people, it's a business account.
It is a business
and I'm 12. She's 7.
So. How dare they, right? How dare they?
So we can you offer any advice on how to get bankers to owe us low rate or free business checking so we can keep our costs down while trying to get our business off the ground? We certainly don't want to lose all our seed money by paying the high bank fees, because that's no fun.
No, it's not. No fun.
Well,
Right? Yeah, go ahead.
I will just say, like, I probably, in business, I believe that there is no one correct route to go. Of course, like there are, key practices or key recommendations, but I told Aja this maybe a couple of years ago. I'm like, oh, I didn't even open up a business account when I started my business. So I waited a few years after I got my business off the ground to make a separate business account, which is not the traditional way that entrepreneurs would go when they're getting the business off the ground. But what I will say is, so my advice is not, when getting the business off the ground, not to put too much focus into like creating that separate bank account out the gate. And Aja may disagree, but as far as business expenses, of course, like you want to keep them down and you want to keep them low. And my recommendation for you all is, and something I wish that I had done, is just reached out to collaborate more, like reach out to those who may be able to provide like grant opportunities, or maybe able to provide some of that.
Y'all want to collaborate with us?
Absolutely. Yes.
I would love to.
Absolutely.
And I was actually going to follow up. I am making a commitment on the call here today that I would love to help you start and provide some startup costs to get your business off the ground. So I would love to do that for you all.
Yes.
Which would warm my heart, would really, really warm my heart. So yes, on behalf of More Than Your Average, would love to help you all get that startup cost off the ground. But kind of going back to that, yes, so like collaborating with other business owners, there's so many grant opportunities out there, mentorships as well. And that's something I told Aja, I'm like, oh my gosh, I should have definitely reached out to other business owners before I got the business off the ground to see if they could help support financially those startup costs. But again, I didn't start my own accounts with my bank until a couple of years in. So I wouldn't say don't put too much pressure on that right now. But I have a feeling Aja may disagree. So. Maybe not listen to me.
This is what I'll say. So I like giving experience share. Girls, I think it's very important from the jump to have a very clear separation of your monetary things. So the monies. And so what I'll say, I'll try to give you some tactical things. I find that credit unions and local banks are more open to small business owners. As far as age and starting a business account, that I'm not so sure about. So I would encourage you to do some more research. As far as your respective local and a credit union, I would do some research into those. But I will say, from more of just kind of like, and this is just very high level, one of the things and the fees that you are talking about, and I have to say this because this is something that I've learned over the course of several years. It's called the cost of doing business. And so there's just some things that as much as we'd like to avoid, we just unfortunately can't. Some of those expenses, they look like things that you just need to operate every single day. So I want to ask you a question. For you all to make peach palmetto, and do I have the right name? Peach palmetto? Yes. To make it go every day, I would recommend creating a list of everything that you need to make it run. So what are some of those things that you need to make it run every single day?
I'd say some help.
Internet.
Some internet.
Right. So the cost of the internet, right? So that's a cost. And what else?
Computers.
The computers.
The computers.
So
You all also mentioned e-commerce. So if you are using a platform, that's going to be an expense each month.
yes, and
Right.
our website.
And
Well,
your
we're trying
website.
to get it up, yeah.
Right. So all those things are the cost of doing business. But as far as picking a bank, I would definitely look towards one that is going to grow with you. That's the best piece of insight that I have. When you're starting out, there are some banks who, they'll just require a certain amount of funds to open an account. And then as you grow and some of those revenues start to come in, they will have a maintenance fee, I think is what they call it. But all of this is the cost of doing business. And I purposely say that because it is a expense that you have to account for. Unfortunately, I know I'm the bearer of bad news, but I just want to say that. And yes, of course, I would love to collaborate with you. We actually have a mentorship program, which is a woman and girl-led mentorship program called Notably Her. So we would love to collaborate with you all.
See, you have two sponsors here.
Hold on. Last
I'm doing
question.
my happy dance. Okay, so this is our last question.
If you could be our age again, what is a piece of advice you would give yourself about creating your own brand and developing your brand
Business.
Okay, you read it again.
Okay, so just a little bit faster. If you could be our age again, what one piece of advice would you give yourself about creating your own brand and developing your own business?
Gosh, that's a really, really good question. And what I will kind of refer back to is I think you all are starting early, and kudos to you all, because again, you all are inspiring me so much. But I would just kind of keep the dream big at the forefront. Like, you all are already dreaming big. You just said, I'm dreaming, I'm having more dreams and stuff are coming to me. And I would say keep doing that. Like, never lose that, because sometimes I feel like there's so many things that society can tell you to do, or how to do it, or you should be doing it this way, or there's so many trends and stuff that are out there. But you are, again, the captain of your ship. So define what you want to do and really focus in on that, your dreams, instead of always, don't allow other people to write your story. So that's just the big piece I will throw out there, is to write your own story, and to bring people along and helping you to write that story, who are going to collaborate with you, who's going to empower, inspire you to be the best you. So when I am asked what is my favorite quote, it is to always be a Fruit Loop in a sea of Cheerios. And so to be that Fruit Loop and to be driving your own ship, because you are you and no one else is you, and you can take on this world.
Yes, all of that is so great. I think one of my biggest things is, and this is just kind of like echoing you, Maya, but never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Those ideas, keep them flowing, keep them flowing. And I'm a big fan of trying as many things as possible and not just landing on the first thing. And if the first thing that you try and you like it, love it, go forward with it. But I'm all about exploration and discovery. Keep those ideas flowing, keep those ideas flowing. And I love stories and copywriting, and it is at the heart of everything I do. And making sure you stay true to why you started, never forgetting why you started, staying true to your passion and owning it. And then I guess the biggest thing that I would have is the courage piece. That's just one thing that I can't get away from. And being vulnerable enough and being open enough to share your passion with the world, and never apologizing for it. Never letting anyone tell you how to do something, or like Maya said, rewriting your story for you. It is your story and you own it, and you keep that passion moving forward, even when you get older. That is one, if I could go back in time to my 14-year-old self, that is definitely one thing that I would give myself. So yes, I love that. I love all these questions, girls. And I'm so inspired by you all. I don't know how you all feel on the call, but I'm so inspired by you all. So inspired.
Thank you all so much, Aja and Maya, for sharing such great advice and all of your personal stories and experiences with us. And Daisy and Dixie, you guys did such a fantastic job leading the conversation. Thank you. It sounds like a great collaboration is in the works.
Thank you.
Yes.
Our next Unstoppable Women conversation is on Tuesday, May 11th at 4 p.m. with Lauren Bean and McKenna Wrights, who will be speaking about the power of boldly pursuing failure. So I hope you all can join us for that. Again, thank you all for coming today and listening to this great conversation, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Daisy and
you.
Dixie.
Thank you.